She had to reawaken the ruthless killer that once resided within her. The story had a suspicious man caught her attention. He was completely covered, so his face wasn't visible, but he came every day to make deliveries. Bod memorized his physical characteristics. At the same time, she keenly noticed that the color of the bag he carried every day was different. And the rhythm of his knocking was extremely regular. It seemed like he was conveying some information to the people inside. Bod observed carefully for a few more days and discovered that the pattern closely resembled a form of Morse code. So, she recorded the rhythm of his knock and decided to take the initiative. The next day, Bod skillfully attached a silencer to her pistol, then put on an identical black cloak, picked up the supply bag, and headed toward the building. Simultaneously, the French intelligence agency was monitoring her every move remotely, ready to provide support at any moment. Bod's disguise was flawless, and combined with the perfectly accurate knocking code, someone quickly opened the door for her. However, the very moment the door opened, the person was killed by Bod's gun. After successfully infiltrating the building, Bod immediately activated killing machine mode. She eliminated everyone in her path, one by one, and then verified their identities. Once headquarters confirmed the target's identity, Bod pulled the trigger without hesitation, then quickly moved to the designated extraction point. But unexpectedly, as soon as she stepped off the rooftop, she ran into a woman. The person was full of panic and continuously backed away. Next, Bod discovered that in the deepest room, many women and children were being hidden. She was momentarily at a loss. Because in previous missions, this situation had never occurred. However, following the principle of better safe than sorry, headquarters still ordered to eliminate everyone. Yet, after a moment of silence, Bod ultimately could not bring herself to do it. She ignored the continuous urgings from her superiors and left the building at the fastest speed. Unexpectedly, as soon as she walked out the door, she came face to face with an armed Syrian member. The person didn't launch an attack, but a bad feeling arose in Bod's heart. She glanced at the rubble on the ground, immediately realized something was terribly wrong, and hastily accelerated her steps to leave. Just as predicted, in the very next second, a loud explosion rang out behind her. The massive shockwave left Bod stunned. Fortunately, she reacted in time and was not fatally harmed. However, this accident also prompted a change in Bod's mindset. She grew increasingly weary of this dangerous, high-stakes life, fell in love with a police officer in town named Yas. She thought life would continue to be smooth and peaceful, but accidents always happen unexpectedly. This beautiful and recent investigative actions further encroached upon the Hari family's interests, naturally making him their primary surveillance target. On this day off, Bod was having a date with Yas at a roadside cafe. But unexpectedly, a motorcycle suddenly sped over. The person on the bike said nothing and immediately pulled the trigger, shooting Yas while he was completely unprepared. Since the incident happened too abruptly, Bod couldn't react in time. She could only watch helplessly as the assailant left. Yas was critically injured, fell into a deep coma, and would likely not wake up anytime soon. The sudden accident completely shattered Bod's peaceful life. She stayed by his bedside day and night, trying to wake her sleeping lover, but it was always in vain. That evening, Yas knew very well that if those people knew Yas was still alive, they would certainly return to finish the job. But the police chief sadly stated that all of this was official procedural regulation and he had no authority to intervene. Bod immediately understood the implied meaning of his words. Relying on others is not as good as relying on herself. So, she immediately pulled out her phone and sent her apartment address to the police chief, asking him to help transfer Yas there and contact a trustworthy person to care for him. After giving all the instructions, Bod turned and walked away immediately. To seek justice for her lover, Bod decided to temporarily put aside her current peaceful life. She pointed her weapon and loudly signaled them to kneel. Just then, another gunman appeared at the doorway. Fortunately, Bod was quick-witted and killed him, but due to a momentary lapse, she was restrained on the ground by the two opponents working together. In the 1 versus 2 situation, Bod was slightly struggling but not at a disadvantage. Her years of combat experience helped her quickly find her opponent's weaknesses, finally executing a perfect counterattack. However, just as she was about to breathe a sigh of relief, A group of police officers rushed in with their guns drawn. Seeing the dark barrels of the guns aimed at her, along with the police chief who looked tense and uneasy, Bod sensibly raised her hands to her head, without any attempt to resist. The next day, finally returned. He immediately ordered an investigation into Bad's identity, swearing to make her join his sons in the grave. At the same time in Paris, because as far as she knew, Bod had started a completely new life. So why was she involved with the criminal syndicate? But before she could figure out the reason, the director immediately ordered them to find a French person to offer condolences to Harry and assist the opponent with subsequent plans, even if it meant killing Bod. It turned out that the French intelligence bureau had been secretly cooperating with the Harry family all along. 3 days later, worried that Harry would harm her. But the informant stated that Harry's current mood was highly volatile. It would be best to find a way to calm him down, as that was the only way they could continue their upcoming cooperation, especially since a batch of goods was about to arrive at the port. Harry. The only thing was that a mistake occurred in the middle, resulting in Bod, who was supposed to die in the bomb, miraculously surviving. Hearing this, Harry's expression grew even more unpleasant, and his malice to kill Bod intensified. Lana noticed his anger and quickly offered to handle the matter herself, asserting that the director had given the death order and would absolutely not disappoint the Harry family. After a moment of silence, Harry finally agreed with a nod. On the other side, the police chief had received notification from the prison to prepare for Bad's transfer. A group of assassins carrying weapons abruptly stopped at the back door of the police station. The leader fired his gun without a word, then aggressively threatened another officer to open the cell door. Next, a group of people poured in, directly overpowering the completely unprepared police chief. Under the threat of a gun, the police chief could only unlock the cell door. Bod also walked out without resistance. Taking advantage of the chaos, Bod successfully escaped the police station, seized a motorcycle, and she originally intended to use this opportunity to lose her pursuers. But unexpectedly, the opponents surrounded her both front and back, quickly cornering her in a dead end. Seeing the imminent danger, Bod decisively grit her teeth and fully twisted the throttle, driving straight into the sea. The lead assassin, seeing this, fired continuously into the water until the surface returned to calm before stopping. Not long after, the careful thought, Bod couldn't sit idly by anymore. She took out a secret computer and arranged to meet a mysterious man named Sam. Bod then quickly took out her passport and cash, clearly intending that they needed to find a way to resolve the trouble. The next day, Bod reluctantly bid farewell to the comatose Yas. Person was cooperating with Harry, and perhaps this would be a good loophole to start with. Just as the two were talking, Lana was hastily leading her people forward, but as soon as they rushed onto the rooftop, further searching, because if the target had met Sam, she would definitely go looking for the informant. Her people just needed to hold their position and wait. Indeed, Bod went non-stop to the market and found the store opened by the informant. At the same time, Agent Axel, dispatched by the French Intelligence Bureau, was also speeding towards the target. As soon as he saw Bod, the informant immediately understood he was exposed, quickly stormed into a building, climbed the stairs to the rooftop, and relentlessly pursued the two ahead. However, Bod was one step faster and managed to restrain the informant first. Was tightly gripping the informant's neck to control him, forcing him to reveal Harry's current hiding place and the French Intelligence Bureau's true conspiracy. The feeling of suffocation quickly made the informant's psychological defense collapse. He immediately confessed Harry's whereabouts, along with the fact that the French Intelligence Bureau would deliver a batch of weapons at the port tonight at 10 p.m. in exchange for information about Morocco held by Harry. After receiving the necessary information, Bod loosened the informant and quickly stood up to leave, when a bullet unexpectedly flew towards her. Again, but they could confirm that her next move would definitely be the transaction port. So, the director immediately ordered his people to check all means of transport heading to the target, and find Bad's trace at all costs. Just as the director predicted, Bod had arrived at the train station, preparing to take a train to Casablanca. She was uncharacteristically silent, looking out at the night through the window, lost in thought. Not long after, and stepped out, she walked to Harry's car, and the two seemed to be exchanging information. Bod captured this scene, then decisively called Lana. The latter was instantly panicked, constantly scanning her surroundings for Bad's presence. Since when did the Intelligence Bureau start selling weapons to Daesh? Facing the question from her former subordinate, Lana justified her actions, claiming they had no choice. Bod immediately found it utterly ridiculous. However, at the same time, Axel had also arrived at the port. Bod seemed to sense danger and hastily prepared to change locations. Unexpectedly, just as she jumped down from the container, she ran into Axel, who had been searching for her. Realizing she was exposed, Bod decisively gave up resisting, raised her hands, and was escorted by Axel to Hari's car. But completely unexpected for Bod from the start. The assassin presented a phone. The video showed Hari's smug and arrogant face. He ordered Bod to be eliminated tonight to avenge his 2 dead sons. Unexpectedly, a surprise occurred without any warning. The shooter was Sam, who had been lying in ambush at a high point. He took down the targets one by one with a single shot. By the time Axel rushed up to the high point, all the assassins on the ground had been wiped out, and Sam had already anticipated his arrival, thrown to the ground by Axel. Bod rushed over but was kicked by the opponent, sending her flying down the stairs. Before she could steady herself, Axel darted over and fiercely gripped her throat. Bod felt the difficulty breathing increase. Fortunately, her fighting skills were still good. She immediately seized an opportunity to break free from his grasp and continued to wrestle with Axel. The two were evenly matched, neither willing to yield, but Bod was clearly more desperate. Even if it meant 800 who couldn't hold on first. Bod caught him off guard, threw him down onto the scaffolding, and he died instantly. After confirming the opponent was motionless, Bod immediately returned to the high platform to look for Sam. But sadly, his pulse had stopped. In that moment, extreme sorrow overwhelmed Bod. She only wanted to kill Hari immediately. On the other side, Lana had transferred the exchanged information back to headquarters to facilitate further actions. But unexpectedly, Bod had already found Hari's hiding place. The sniper rifle in her hand was also charging up to fire. The piercing gunshot shattered the silence of the villa. Soon after, a crowd of bodyguards rushed in. All the crimes would be buried here, and Bod quietly left, concealing her merit and reputation. At the end of the story, Yas successfully woke up. Bod told her lover everything that had happened in the past and recently. Yas slowly raised his hand to wipe away his girlfriend's tears. Feeling the warmth on her cheek, Bod choked out an, "I'm sorry." Then, she decisively turned and walked away. Her cleansing operation was not yet finished. Meanwhile, based on the information provided by Hari, the Intelligence Bureau successfully coordinated with the anti-terrorism squad to break up 3 terrorist cells in Paris. Lana sat in the car, listening to the relevant reports, her face still expressionless. No one knew what she was thinking. Just then, the roar of a motorcycle engine sounded in her ear. Lana rolled down the car window. Standing before her was Bod with cold eyes. The two silently stared at each other for a long time, but neither spoke. Immediately after, Bod revved the throttle and sped off. The motorcycle quickly disappeared into the night.